First, let's walk you through the new details coming out of the White House this morning, with consensus among the president's advisors and his allies that his current legal team is just not ready to effectively combat potential investigations and possible impeachment charges by a Democratic-controlled House. The Washington Post says the president has discussed with his advisors adding veteran defense attorney Abbe Lowell to his personal legal team. That is the same lawyer representing Trump's son-in-law and senior advisor Jared Kushner, and is one of the country's foremost white-collar defense and trial lawyers. The president's team also reportedly discussing recruiting a more experienced legal team to the Office of White House Counsel. That office is at a key crossroads right this moment, with the president announcing via Twitter yesterday that Don McGahn will leave his position after Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh is officially confirmed. The move comes less than 2 weeks after the New York Times reported McGahn spent a total of 30 hours talking with special counsel Robert Mueller's team. Still, President Trump praised McGahn. Well, he did it at least in public.
Don McGahn's a really good guy. Been with me for a long time. Privately before this, he represented me. He's been here now. It'll be almost 2 years, and a lot of affection for Don. And he'll be moving on, probably the private sector, maybe the private sector, and he'll do very well. But he's done an excellent job.
Any concern about what he said to the Mueller team?
No, not at all.
Key Republicans were quick to react to McGahn's upcoming departure. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, who you don't hear from often, calling it, quote, sad news for our country. The Judiciary Committee Chairman, Senator Chuck Grassley, tweeted, quote, I hope it is not true McGahn is leaving White House counsel. You can't let that happen. Well, it's happening. Part of the reason some conservatives do not want to see McGahn go, he is the man behind the administration's success in getting conservatives on the federal courts, and that has been a huge win for them among conservative circles. But McGahn has also navigated several very big storms in the White House. He was the official whom acting Attorney General Sally Yates approached in January of 2017 with concerns Michael Flynn was very vulnerable to blackmail because of conversations he had with the Russian ambassador. Flynn was then forced to resign as national security advisor. And McGahn was one of the White House officials who urged Jeff Sessions not to resign as Attorney General early in the Trump administration. Sessions stayed on, of course, recusing himself from the Russia probe, and that led to the appointment of Robert Mueller as special counsel. The Times has also reported that President Trump told McGahn directly to go fire Robert Mueller, and McGahn, he refused, and he threatened to resign in response. But it is not just McGahn who's leaving. Washington Post reports the Office of the White House Counsel, are you ready for this? It's got about 25 lawyers right now, down from 35 earlier in Trump's presidency. What's more, 3 of McGahn's deputies have already left, and the Deputy White House Counsel for Ethics is set to leave tomorrow. That leaves just 1 deputy counsel left.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.